Hello and welcome to the end of the regular season podcast for the Section 17 crew. I'm your host, Josh Cox. I am here with Jamie Holt, Scott Medlin. We are missing our main man, Brian Kennedy, tonight for good reason. But this is the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. Thank you once again for joining us as Duke finished out the regular season 9-3 with a road win in amazing fashion at Wake Forest. It's now going to be, 2 weeks ago, I guess, depending on when you're listening to this. Duke finishes the season 9-3, just an incredible time. Before we get into our thoughts and we talk a little bit about what we think about the regular season in general, how Duke ended it there at Wake Forest, all this good stuff, we do need to share a word about our sponsors. We're going to do it in a different order tonight. This would really mess Brian's OCD up. Home Field Apparel. Home Field Apparel is your one-stop shop for vintage gear. I know you're thinking, what am I going to get that crazy uncle of mine? We all got crazy uncles. What am I going to get him for Christmas? Well, I've got an idea. Find out what his favorite sports team is. Go to homefieldapparel.com and find him some vintage gear. If you use our code, Section 17, you'll receive 15% off your first order. That's at homefieldapparel.com, the leader in vintage gear and brands. They're incredible. We're thankful for their partnership throughout the season. If you're looking for a home in the Triangle, then our guy, the generous Matt Bliven, the man who this entire year has given away tickets to every home game. Stay tuned. He's given away 2 tickets to the bowl game. We're going to tell you about that in a little while. Matt Bliven is your guy. He knows Durham. He knows the Triangle. He was raised in Durham, has been here his entire life. He has his pulse on the current market. He knows whether it's new builds, whether it's restorations, whether it's land, whatever you're looking to get into real estate-wise, Matt Bliven is your guy. We want you to reach out to him by emailing him at mlb@nestrealty.com. Matt Bliven, our sponsor for the ticket giveaways, the Durham and Triangle area guru, all things real estate. mlb@nestrealty.com. And then it's getting cold. And I'm thankful that my house is warm. And things like that don't happen by accident. It's because you got a good HVAC system. And if you'd like to keep your HVAC system running smoothly, you will use our friends at Hometown Air. That's right. Home is about every one of our sponsors. HometownairNC.com. They bring over 25 years of experience into the residential HVAC world. Their service contracts will ensure that your systems are running efficiently and smoothly all year long. That means keeping you cool in the summer and keeping you warm in the winter. If you need them, you need to reach out at HometownairNC.com. If you sign up for a service contract, which will ensure that you don't have these emergencies, these issues, and all these things at the last minute, they're going to keep you running smoothly all throughout the year. Their service contracts are incredible. Mention the Section 17 podcast. They'll give you $17 off your first year. HometownairNC.com. Lights are still on. We're still rolling. Guys, Jamie, Scott, Duke has finished 9-3. We got 2 areas we want to just get your thoughts on. I guess it's 3. Duke finishing 9-3. Caveat into the fact that we beat Wake Forest and how Duke beat Wake Forest. That game was wild. And then this past week we had signing day. And Duke welcomed its overall, well, in modern football history, what we can track. Duke brings in not only its number 1 overall player, but its number 1 overall recruiting class. So just your thoughts kind of on the last 2 weeks of Duke football. We'd love to hear it.
I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, y'all were at the Wake Forest game. I watched on TV and probably said some things I shouldn't have and tweeted some things I shouldn't have and then hit delete and then tweeted again, then hit delete. And like, it's, season's over type deal. But it was an interesting game. But this team has been an interesting team, and it's been an interesting season. I mean, it looked on paper, it looked like we should should blow Wake Forest out, or maybe not blow them out, but beat them, by 10 or more, kind of handily. But that's not how it goes in that rivalry either. We see close games with Wake all the time, and they're on the last few seconds, that last play. Uh, I was literally yelling at my TV, like maybe I thought that Malik could hear me or something, or I'm not sure. Maybe I thought I had a pipeline into his headset. I was like, get rid of the ball quickly, quickly, quickly. And then as time was running out, I see him chunk the ball down the field. I'm like, holy crap! Jordan Moore has come wide open, and Malik does what we've seen him do all year. He throws a great deep ball, and Jordan Moore I think he kind of lulled the Wake Forest secondary kind of to sleep. And I don't know how in the world that happens. Of all people, how do you kind of lose Jordan Moore in the secondary there for a touchdown? But that was a crazy, crazy game and a great finish. And we were able to finish 9-3. And I actually predicted that 9-3, which is amazing because I didn't know if there was any way they could get to 9-3, but they did it, and it's been a great season, great first season for Manny. Great lead into his first recruiting class. I mean, we knew coming in that Manny was a great recruiter, and he brought in great recruiters with him. And to get guys like Bryce, guys like, what is it, Gompers,
Bradley Gompers, Bryce
Bradley
Davis.
Gompers,
I know when we
Nate.
say Bryce now, Jamie, you immediately
Yeah.
go to Young.
Yeah. I was trying not to say Young because then I might cuss, but actually he's playing better. So that's neither here nor there. But what was it? Nate Shepard's another 4-star running back. We saw we had multiple 4-stars. So just a great recruiting class. And I think it ended up, depending on what service you look at, ended up like 32, 33.
Yeah, low 30s.
So,
Yeah, low 30s.
and like I think 6th in the ACC overall. So really great recruiting class. And once again, you never know until these guys get on the field. So, and several of them won't see the field their first year, but we know Bryce will see the field. Like he's seeing the field. Like that's a monster. That's a man amongst boys. I've seen his highlight reels. But anyways, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, it's looking back at the season, 9-3. I mean, did we think that was a pipe dream? Maybe there was a chance. I mean, we played this game 2 years ago with Elko. I mean, they were 16 points away. We're not far off that 16 points away from being undefeated, except for the Miami game. Now, that's the one game where it doesn't matter. But other than that, though, we're a couple points away from being one loss. But a great season, and coming down to the last play, it's Duke football right now. When we get to the fourth quarter, and I'm eventually going to get over this, I promise everybody. But again, we need somebody to sponsor my heart pills. We got to get a sponsor for the heart pills, even if they're just
well, you're already sponsored by Duke Life Flight or whatever. So,
but these are road games, though. That was a road game. Nobody was there to help me. But I mean, the fact that Duke had a chance and won the game at the end. Josh and I were sitting there, and to be honest with you, the seats we had were right eye level of where the pass was going. And then when he threw the ball up, I told Josh, I said, I don't know if he's going to get it. And then the more you see it as it's like milliseconds as it's in the air. And I'm like, oh crap, he's going to catch that football. And the next thing you know, he's pirouetting past the defender in the end zone. But that's Duke football right now. Things don't go well. The ball bounced their way on the kickoff in the fourth quarter. They started doing things they were supposed to do. They're inches, I mean mere inches, and again, right in front of us, of Wesley Williams walking in the end zone for a touchdown on a controversial play. If it had been Carolina, it wouldn't have happened. But it was Wake Forest. Charlotte was asleep at the wheel like they always are, so we got the fumble. It worked out perfectly. But class, I'm excited about the class we have coming in. Can't wait to see some of these guys get on the field. Manny's doing what he's supposed to do. Manny's brought not life back to the team, but he helped keep it going. He helped bridge the gap from last year where we're in the bowl game worrying about what's the future going to be like. knowing that Manny's taking over, to now we're sitting here 9-3, getting ready to go to the biggest bowl in history, and then we'll get to that later. So, kudos. Kudos to Nina. Kudos to Manny. Kudos to his coaching staff. Kudos to these guys who never gave up. Kudos to Feely. I mean, again, Feely gets a lot of the love, and he should. He's the reason we're playing in fourth quarter where we're fighting to get these wins. 10 years ago, we'd have got run over by the Mack truck, and they'd have backed over us 3 or 4 times in Winston-Salem. But not this team. Not anymore. This isn't Duke football of 10 years ago. This is a much better team. I love it. I love the fact that we're able to sit here and have this conversation and going forward, looking at the biggest bowl game ever. So I'm happy to be where we are.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts I had about the Wake Forest game. First of all, a major forced fumble on the kickoff there. Leon Griffin, I believe, was the guy that knocked that out. Shout out to him. Guy who's, obviously trying to fight his way into the rotation and stuff like that, looking into the future. And then I think it's interesting on that final play. So what they said happened was there was a 5-yard route for Jomo. And I don't know if it was an out route, a dig route, what it was, but obviously it didn't go that way, and Malik was holding the ball. And so what Jordan said was he noticed that the corner was looking back at Malik. And so when Jordan saw that, that's when he broke, and Malik saw him like literally, right at his break. And not only were Scott and I concerned that he wasn't going to be able to get to the ball because he let him. I mean, he definitely let him. But then the safety, I felt like, did a terrible job of coming over. Like, Jordan was definitely like a defenseless receiver at the time. And I thought the guy completely took the wrong angle and completely whiffed on that. Like, the next thing, as Scott said, when you're there in person, it's like it's taking 30 seconds for the play to happen when it's happening super quick. But I'm thinking like he's going to get tackled on the 1-yard line. You know what I mean? That's the way we're going to go to overtime. Like, great play, but he's going to get tackled. And the guy just whiffs. And I mean, kudos to Jordan for doing the spin move there into the end zone. But like, still, he should have been tackled, and the guy just didn't. And so, once again, though, that's Duke making winning football plays when they need to make them. And so, kudos to the guys. So happy for them to get that win, to finish the season with 9 wins. Signing day thoughts for me. You have, depending on what recruiting site that you're looking at, Bradley Gompers and Bryce Davis kind of interchangeably the number 1 overall recruit in Duke history. So depending on which site you look at. And so looking forward to that. Gompers can play both sides of the ball. We'll find out, I'm assuming, in spring ball. Actually, I don't think he's coming for spring ball. But anyway, maybe leaning linebacker, playing some tight end. Not sure about that, but he can play both. I'm not saying he's like Travis Hunter or anything like that, and like Duke's going to use him that way, but he does play both sides of the football. And then, of course, Bryce Davis there as an edge rusher. Those guys are invaluable, to teams. And so I'm looking forward to that class. And not to mention, I mean, can't go down the list. Nate Shepard. And honestly, the Gompers thing is big because we know Penn State was heavily after him, and then we know that Michigan came in there at the end really going after him. And if you follow recruiting, you probably know more than we do about that. But anyway, really, really excited for these guys. And then one final thing before we get into our mailbag, just came out today, the AP All-ACC first team, and it included 5. That's right. 5 of your boys from Duke football. 2 of the big boys up front, Caleb Krings and our guy Brian Parker. Another big boy on the other side of the line of the football, Kendi Charles, the defensive tackle. And then 2 guys in the secondary, friends of the pod, Terry Moore, Chandler Rivers. No surprise. But really happy for those guys and excited for them. So, Jamie, we didn't have a ton of questions because it was a week removed from Wake. This is probably going to be a little bit of a quicker episode than what we typically do, but hit us with that mailbag, Jamie.
And I was going to say one more thing before the mailbag about the Jomo catch, because it's so on TV you could kind of see, and that's what I made a comment when I tweeted. I was like, originally it kind of looked like they set that up like that was planned for Jomo to like make a double move and take off. But then we heard after the game where it was supposed to be a 5-yard route, and Manny was like, "What is going on?" So I thought, I mean, that was pretty funny. Like, but it did kind of look like almost like a double move. He stopped and then just took off. But anyways, yeah, into the mailbag here, and starting off with our guy at the Duke of QP. And I don't know, this question kind of sounds like maybe the Duke might join us at the tailgate. I'm not sure if he's just teasing us or if he's actually going to come. He says, "This is awesome." He said, "Can I make a request for fried gator at the tailgate?" And he says, "I'll bring the mayo."
Hey, number one, there is going to be a tailgate. As you can imagine, our guys, the hard hat guys, are going to be making the trip. We're going to actually have we may have the full tailgate collective down there. The only one I'm waiting on is the Boo crew. But Ben Thomason, the Bayou Blue Devil, is going to be down there. Rocket Man's going to be down there. It's still TBD on if the Rocket is going to make it down there, but Rocket Man is going to be down there. And then, of course, the hard hat guys and us. We are looking at lots J and or A. We haven't made we're waiting on, honestly, we're waiting on the hard hats to make that decision, or I think one of the other guys. But anyway, whenever that decision's made, we will post about it. And so make sure you're there. We're going to be lots open at 2:30. That's when we'll be getting there, and we'll be partying throughout the afternoon, getting ready for the game. But just pumped about that. I'm sure we're going to get some questions and more talks about the bowl game, more specifically. But to the tailgate question, so fried gator, I'd be down for. I've never had gator, and I'd try it. I mean, for the Gator Bowl, you got to try. It's probably a little tough.
So it's kind of tough, but it's. I've had fried gator bites before, and they had like a kind of a spicy sauce with them, and it was good. But I mean, it's a little tough, but it was good.
Maybe we can find like a caterer or like a restaurant down there that does it, and we can bring it to the thing. So we'll see. Scott, what's your thoughts, man? You look a little kerfuffled over there.
Yeah, you have to forgive me. I am actually watching a basketball game for the high school in the background, so I'm having a little moment or two here. I wouldn't be missing the game. I would be at the game if my wife hadn't had the surgery last week. So she's actually downstairs. She gave me about 45 minutes to run up here and do the podcast before she'll need me, hopefully.
She's going to start ringing that bell in a minute. You're going to hear that bell ringing in the background. Scott's going to go running.
There's no way Scott's eating fried gator. We have to bring chicken nuggets.
Hey, now you bring some chicken nuggets. Now we're talking, or some grilled cheese. I'm definitely there. I'm there, your boy for that.
We just won't tell Scott. We'll just like, here's a chicken nugget. It'll be a fried gator bite.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough, but it's chicken. Trust us.
Yeah, just chew it up and shut up.
All right. At Bentley Weeks says, "Is this the best time to be a Duke football fan?" And he said it seriously feels like it. I mean, we're in the midst of a 5-game bowl win streak currently. Going to the Gator Bowl. I mean, the Gator Bowl is wow. I mean, what a time to be alive.
I mean, other than the 2013 season, that's the one that you could compare it to, right? I mean, Duke was 10-2 in the regular season. Is that right? Yeah, 10-2.
I believe so.
Game. 10-2. Go to the Chick-fil-A Bowl at the time in Atlanta. Lose a heartbreaker. We don't like to talk about it. Lose a heartbreaker to the minuscule Johnny.
To the wee man. The wee man.
That's right. The wee man Manziel. But to answer Bentley's question, I think it is. Listen, you got 3 straight years now of successful football in Durham. And if I may, and I know that historical Duke fans are going to probably disagree with me, and that's okay. I feel, this is my personal opinion, I feel like this 3-year stretch is like a more, man, it's going to sound like I'm being critical of the past. I'm really not. This 3-year stretch is like legitimate. Like we are on the field, like athletically, speed-wise, matching up with our opponents. When we play Clemson, when we play Miami this year, when we play the Florida States historically of the world, Notre Dame's, we are not being like physically outmatched. So that's why that is what leads me to believe this is the best time. to be a Duke football fan. So you had 9-3 regular season, Gator Bowl appearance, playing Ole Miss, the Fighting Lane Kiffins, and then you add in the best recruiting class in Duke football history. It's tough to argue against it.
I definitely agree. Like, I can't think of anything. I mean, there was the stretch when Spurrier was here, but we won an ACC title, but I mean, we
went to the
weren't.
one bowl game and got smoked.
Yeah, went to the one bowl game and got absolutely smoked. Now there wasn't as many bowl games back then, so I think during his 3 years we probably would have went to bowl games all 3 years, I believe, had there been more bowl games. But
hey, don't forget though, he was the original Midnight Mike.
Yeah, exactly. He
one talks
jetted on
about
us.
that now.
Yeah, everybody's like, it's all good with Spurrier.
Everybody loves Spurrier. He took off.
This is a little bit along this. We talked about it a little bit at two Duke Girl 21. She asks, is any prestige with this bowl, and what is there to do in Jacksonville, Florida? And I can tell you what there's to do in Jacksonville, Florida. There's the beach. Like, what else? Like, what else is there to do? Everybody that knows me knows there's the beach there. Like, you can go to the beach. We're actually staying in a house that's on the river. That's gonna be awesome. Like, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to stay there. I've seen some of the photos of that place. And as far as prestige, the Gator Bowl, I mean, if you look back, the Gator Bowl's been one of the biggest bowls. Every year was played on New Year's Day, right? Back in the day, I think I remember it being played on New Year's Day instead of the 2nd. But I mean, it's been one of the most prestigious bowls around, and it's nice to get recognized. Nice for Duke to get recognized with a Tier 1 bowl. Too bad Brian's not here to talk about all the tiers and stuff like that. But we were afraid that we were going to get knocked down a tier, right, at one point.
It wasn't really a tier. So the top 6 bowls are Tier 1 technically, but it kind of goes in the order of like Pop-Tarts, and then there's like Holiday / Gator / Sun. So you really could end up anywhere in those 3. And we definitely didn't want the Sun Bowl. And most of us did not want Holiday Bowl. It's San Diego on December 27th. And then rumors started flowing about Holiday Bowl. McMurphy put that in and all that stuff. And we were, to our pleasant surprise, got that Gator Bowl hookup. Scott can talk a little bit more to the prestige of it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. We had text. We were talking about it. We said there's probably gonna be Holiday. And I'm like, guys, I'm gonna take a nap. And I'm hoping when I wake up from the nap that this is a bad dream we've had for the last 20 minutes. Woke up from the nap, saw that it was going to be Syracuse. Was never more happy to be a Syracuse fan going to the left coast in my lifetime. And then they're playing Wazoo. So whatever. Honestly, though, man, the Gator Bowl is a great opportunity. It's a NFL stadium, which will be fun. That's another opportunity. You know, we played in the Belt Bowl in whatever it was back then. Was it still Bank of America back then, Jamie? Okay. I don't know if they changed the name or not because they don't play football there but every other Sunday, so it's hard to remember.
I think they call it the house that Bryce Young built.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's the house of losses.
Well, hey, Bryce Young would enjoy the house we're trying to stay in, though. Games just for him. But anyway, honestly, looking forward to the opportunity to go to Florida. If you win a New Year's Bowl, and this would have been a New Year's Bowl had it not been in the middle of the freaking week. Lord forbid that this makes any sense to how the calendar has gone, in 24. Everything's been a week back. But the fact that we're playing on New Year's period is great. The 31st was great when we went to Chick-fil-A, and that was awesome. But the fact that we're playing in a national time spot, nobody else is playing at the same time we are, is going to be one that people will sit down and watch. And who doesn't want to beat up on Joey Freshwater, Kiffy Cakes, and Hottie Toddy, good gosh almighty. And I'm telling you what, I'm looking forward to the fact of seeing all the folks from the Grove to relocate there in Jacksonville, because I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I'm hoping we can go 50. We won't go 50-50, but if we could come close to 50 for the blue, I'm all for it. And they're light blue too, so even more of a reason to hate those guys. Let's just be honest. When you wear that ugly light blue, there's no reason anybody can like you.
All right. Gonna move on to Kirk Klein. He says, I know Diaz stated there was no drama in terms of signing day, but was there anyone that didn't or has not signed yet that had committed? Do you know anything about that, Josh? I don't
So,
remember
to
really
my
hearing too
knowledge,
much.
no one did not. We did not have anybody flip away from us. Um, Full disclosure, I think there were one or two that we thought that might flip to us, not like crazy big names, but that didn't happen. But I mean, it wasn't anything that we were like banking on per se. So yeah, I think Coach Diaz was spot on in the fact that it was pretty much a drama free signing day. I mean, all eyes were on leading up to it, up to the Bradley Gompers decision. Um, that was the one that a lot of Duke fans really thought was going to flip. Initially, like I said, to Penn State, and then there at the end to Michigan. Didn't end up happening. And so, yeah, I mean, as drama free of a signing day as there could have been.
All right, moving on to Regina Lee. She says, as fans, and in parentheses, she says, not as super professional media personalities. Tell us how you felt when you learned it would be the Gator Bowl. So Scott kind of talked about this, how he fell asleep and woke up and saw it was the Gator Bowl. But I personally had started wanting. I wanted to be in Charlotte, right? Selfish reasons. I wanted to be in Charlotte, but then I started thinking about the Gator Bowl. I'm like, Jacksonville, 6 hours away. It's warm. It's gonna be warm. I mean, it could be potentially. I mentioned this in one of our group texts the other day. There could be potentially a 30-degree temperature difference between what a bowl being played in Charlotte versus a bowl being played in Jacksonville. I mean, we could get lucky and have 75 degrees in Jacksonville. It could be 40 degrees back up here in Charlotte. So I was starting to flip towards the Gator Bowl, and then we went through the emotions, like Scott said, of the Holiday Bowl. And we were like, watch party. I was like, well, I'll be at the beach actually, so I'll have just a solo watch party. But anyways, I mean, it was great. I mean, it's kind of equal. I feel it's kind of equal of, and Josh and Scott can speak to this, equal of when we got the Chick-fil-A Bowl. Like, that's how I felt. The Gator Bowl is super, super prestigious to me. It's one of the top bowls. It's always one of the most watched bowls. So I felt really, really happy. Went from wanting Charlotte to really wanting Jacksonville to not wanting the Holiday. All the emotions.
Yeah, I mean, he's not lying, but full disclosure too, Regina, and you'll like this. Jamie has already showed us at least 4 times in the last 24 hours the route between his house and Jacksonville and how quickly we could get there. So, that's full. We give Brian a hard time about stuff. That is full Jamie, 100% beach loving, and he knows exactly to the minute how long it's going to stop. Now, granted, he did not put in there the Buc-ee's time for the stop. So that's something we'll have to figure out later, that we may have to have to tie him up and throw him in the back for about a half hour. But, honestly.
But I thought it was Bussies.
Oh, that's right, Bussies. This is true. Gonna go get one of those those brisket
Stop!
sandwiches.
Stop! We're gonna get.
Is that a beef? Is that a beaver?
We're gonna stop. We're gonna take it off. We're gonna get taken off of YouTube. The jokes write themselves. Oh no. Anyway, my emotions were, so as you guys know, we give Brian a hard time. I give Brian a hard time. It's one of my spiritual gifts. Is giving Brian a hard time. But I pick on Brian for like doing bowl projections back in like friggin' September. But I do start following it about the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I was following it pretty heavily. And these guys can verify this. 2 weeks ago, I went ahead and booked hotels in Jacksonville and Charlotte because I was like, okay, if Duke wins out, we think we're going to Jacksonville. If Duke happens to lose the final game or some crazy stuff happens, we think the lowest we can go is the Mayo Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl. And so on faith, those are the 2 places that we booked hotels. Now, we're actually staying at an Airbnb, so don't even need the hotel reservations, but was able to cancel that Charlotte reservation immediately, was super pumped about that. And we're keeping that hotel reservation just in case our Airbnb host, drops on us. That's happened before to me. So anyway, we are looking forward to being down there. But my emotions were similar to 2013. And like, man, Duke is what a great reward. Selfishly, I think there was some Charlotte. I like that. It's Friday night, 7:30. Would have been very, very well attended by Duke fans. Very well attended. But you think about the players, and like, I mean, there's a bunch of them from the Charlotte area. Like, and part of the bowl game is the destination, right? It's part of the experience for the players. And so I think it's really cool. Not that there's a ton to do in Jacksonville, but like Jamie said, there is the beach. And Jacksonville is actually one of the largest cities in the country by land space, by the way. My little nerd nugget of the day. But Jacksonville's super cool. St. Augustine is not far, depending on what they do. You on 95 there, you drive right through Savannah, Georgia. It's really cool. So anyway, really looking forward to that and excited for the guys.
Plus, it's shorts on January the 2nd. Now, who in the world would not love wearing a pair of shorts at a bowl game in Florida on January 2nd?
Now I will say, I'm gonna pump the brakes a tad on the warm weather, because I know Jacksonville in January can definitely be hoodie, can for sure be hoodie weather, like highs in like the mid to high 50s sometimes, depending on how the weather goes. But I mean, I'm not complaining.
Their average temperature, I even looked it up.
Oh my gosh!
I pulled up Ethan, the meteorologist.
I was about to say meteorologist Ethan Holt.
So it's like an average high of like 66.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, but now that Scott's jinxed it, it'll probably be 32.
Right.
And breezy because we're by the ocean.
This is what I bring to the table, boys and girls. The jinx effect, of course.
You say the cheeks effect? Oh, the jinx effect. My bad.
So Regina also asked, and we're not going to give up any winners here because Brian's not on, and we want to have Brian on, and probably Jordan too, since he was in our predictions. But she just asked how I like my steak, and I think like everybody, I like my steak medium rare and like it to be bleeding on the plate a little bit, So,
hey, if it's anything other than medium rare, you might as well just get a hamburger.
Right, exactly.
And
if you get it well done, you might as well eat a tire.
And the good news
is, speaking of well done, here comes Scott.
Well, I say the good news is the McRib is back at McDonald's right now.
All right. At Ross Jacobs 684. Are we concerned about anyone else leaving besides Coach Simmons?
Oh, on the coaching staff? I asked that question to my people, and I don't believe. I mean, I would give my opinion. I believe, number one, I believe the Coach Simmons thing was absolutely, not that it was 100%, but like when he came here, I'm pretty sure that everyone knew that this was going to be a 1, maybe 2-year stint, and that he was going to get an offer to be a head coach. And so I'm so happy for him. I think he's a great dude. I think he loved his season at Duke. I think the players loved him. I mean, let's be honest. You saw Nate Shepard's tweet, a few minutes after the announcement was made that Simmons was leaving. Nate Shepard being a running back in, Simmons's room there. That he's obviously disappointed that Simmons is leaving. So obviously had the respect of his players, even his recruits. And but to answer the question, I would say that if anybody else goes anywhere, it would be a surprise at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't heard any chatter or anything. Like last year, I mean, obviously we were hearing all sorts of chatter about Elko. I mean, but we won't go down that road. At Keith KE 42412104 says, do you expect many opt-outs for Duke? And he says, and many for Ole Miss, and it's kind of hard to say, right? I mean, we don't know yet.
I mean, I will say this. For the last 2 years, the culture that's been set at Duke has not been an opt-out culture. So I say that just on that side of it, I believe Duke has the culture. I mean, last year you had guys that were in the portal who were still playing in the bowl game. That was awesome. I don't know, but I say that and then I follow it up with, there is no guarantee that this team is going to be the same way. We could have opt-outs. We could have guys in the portal, who are not going to play. But I will say Duke has a better culture of playing in bowl games. I think, this is my opinion, and I just think because of Kiffin's kind of personality and kind of the personality of that team, this could turn into the opt-out bowl, for Ole Miss. Like, it really could. I don't know that. I have no inside knowledge of their program. I'm just saying from an outsider's perspective, it could turn into the opt-out bowl. Hearing some unofficial chirping about that QB depth chart there, that it's just going to get, kind of decimated. So who knows? But I don't foresee. But once again, the Duke guys that may be going to the league could opt out for good reason, and that there could be guys in the portal that don't play for good reason.
I was going to say go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if somebody does opt out, there's no need to attack them and go after them. It is their decision. They're grown adults, especially like Josh just said. If they're getting ready to go pro, why put yourself at risk? I mean, I understand. Listen, I'm the one in the last 3 years that would sit here and argue my face would turn blue with you, and I would die on the hill that why in the world would anybody want to leave Duke? Why would you want to go here? Why would you go there? This is not the culture that I grew up in, where you didn't leave a school. You stayed there for 4 years. You did whatever the situation was. Now, guys have to look out for themselves, and it is what it is. If you're trying to better yourself, because who wouldn't at 18 love to go somewhere and get NIL money, especially the amount of money that some guys are getting in some places. So you know what? If somebody does, happy for them. If it's somebody that's a big name, thank you for all you did for us. Thank you for the season you had to help us get 9-3. I do believe, and again, I don't know anything. There is enough depth on this team. There is enough guys that have played the whole season where if somebody were to, if a Jamie Holt was to opt out, that there would be somebody to take his place tomorrow and do just as good a job as he does. I mean, it is what it is. So
listen, if Jamie Holt were to opt out, there could be a guy maybe that's not nearly as good as Jamie, maybe like a Jordan Moore, who could step in and maybe hold maybe his coattails.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't fall.
I'm really fast.
Up the hill. We're good.
I'm really fast. And when I fall, I fall like really hard too. And have like bruises on my shin for days from flagpoles. But anyways,
I want to echo, and Jamie, then I'll give it back to you. I want to echo what Scott said. I completely agree with you, Scott. Like, we're in a different world, a different landscape, and absolutely respect anybody's decision and whatever decision they make, and just thankful for the season that we've had. I echo that 100%.
Yeah, and we've seen the rumors out there that Ole Miss could potentially have mass opt-outs. So, but we can't confirm those rumors. But I'm pretty sure that if you're on X or wherever, you've seen the rumors. And I've seen the Ole Miss fans also, commenting that they're pretty disappointed with going to the Gator Bowl actually. But anyways, that's a discussion for another time. Frank Kokoska, I think I said that right. I'm not sure. He said, "What time is everyone getting into Jacksonville?" And we are arriving on January the 1st.
That's right. Well, we haven't set our departure time yet, but once we do, Jamie, it's going to be 6 hours and 11 minutes from our departure. Well, plus the Buc-ee's stop.
Yes. Now, see, I'm going to put in a suggestion, shall we say. The Clemson game kicks off at 1 o'clock that afternoon. So I'm just saying, maybe we try to get down there a little early, watch the Clemson game, check in, go from there. That's just my personal opinion. Because, I'm all about watching all these bowl games because I enjoy it. I would much rather spend the next 3 weeks watching bowl games than doing about anything else. Because basketball, usually, I know we don't talk about basketball, but college basketball this time of year is just not great. It's good. It's a filler. But college bowl games are fun to watch. And it doesn't matter who it is. Now, granted, I am that guy, so forgive me. I love watching college football.
That's not a bad idea because that's a playoff game too. So
But to answer the question real quick, we do plan on leaving sometime early, probably early Wednesday morning, getting in mid-afternoon Wednesday, hanging out Wednesday evening, afternoon, evening, and then Thursday we'll be at the tailgate at 2:30. That's when the lots open. We'll be there whenever they let us in. And then I think we're going to leave out Friday.
All right. Lane Phipps says, what podcast am I supposed to listen to on a weekly basis now that we're rapidly approaching the off season?
Bro, I know he's asking that kind of in jest. Let's do this. Like, you guys have like three, like your top three. It doesn't have to be sports. Like top three pods. What do you say?
Let's see. It depends on. Okay.
You can give a shout out to our boys. I know where you're heading. Maybe.
Okay.
Over
the Devil's Den. The Devil's Den. I love those guys. I love Josh, Dustin, and Raul do a good job. Raul. How did I say? Raul. Sorry, I said Raul. I said Raul. Raul. They do a great job covering the basketball team. So I like to listen to them. And we're in a Facebook group with them as well. That's kind of a smaller Facebook group. But also, like, as far as like national podcasts, I love 6 Feet Under with my guy, The Undertaker. And then God, Scott just got me in the comments.
Scott, that's the good one. Scott usually is not the comment section guy, and Scott got you.
No, I'm usually the one to say it out loud when we're talking about stuff like that with whatever right beside me. So anyway,
but that's a couple from me. So y'all got anything?
I mean, I'm not granted, this is me. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I mean, I used to. I don't listen to it as much as I used to. Baseball season will be starting soon for me, so I'll get into listening to some of those podcasts that I regularly listen to. I'm obviously a Giants fan, so I love Misery and staying up till 1 o'clock every once a week watching my guys lose for no reason because they suck.
Well, Scott, but now you do have kind of I know you listen to like shows or like different things. Like what's your go-to? Because aren't you
okay? So yeah, now on a regular basis every day I do listen to a full ride on Sirius XM from 9 to 12 with Chris Childers, Middle Tennessee grad. He was actually at media days and stuff, and he was the marshal for the homecoming parade that you guys were at for the Middle Tennessee game. And then the great coach Rick Neuheisel. And who doesn't love Rick Neuheisel? Honestly, he's a great guy. But that's something I listen to on a daily basis, and that's 3 hours of my day I make sure I carve out because that's just something I enjoy. And it doesn't matter off season or not. I love listening to those dudes.
Nice. I'm going to take it away from sports. I echo the Devil's Den. Love those guys. But I'm going to go. I stay in the comedy realm. So I'm going to go Theo Von. Absolutely. This past weekend with Theo Von. I don't miss an episode typically. And I'm not sure if I'm smarter or dumber as a result, but I'm either way smarter as a result or way dumber. And I'm not sure which one it is. So Theo Von, number one. John Christ. Net Positive with John Christ. If you want a clean, humorous podcast, John Christ. Really funny guy. And then I got to give a shout out. This is my number one. This is every time it comes out, the Bill Simmons podcast. I listen to Bill Simmons. I'm a Bill Simmons guy. I know some people aren't. I love what he's done at the Ringer. Low key, like we need to create like the football talk Ringer, like ACC football talk. Anyway, we're not going to do that, but that's an idea in my head. Love what Bill Simmons does, and the Bill Simmons podcast is legit.
And I honestly, I forgot Coach K's Sirius XM radio show is pretty good too. And he just had Manny on the other day. So if you do have Sirius XM and you got the app, you can go back and listen to that interview. It was really good to hear Coach K talk with Manny. And that was I was telling these guys when I listened to it, it was cool to hear Coach K refer when he was talking about the football team, say we are doing this, we are doing that. It was really cool. And you could tell how much he liked Manny Diaz. Like I could see it like Coach K really likes Manny Diaz, and it was cool for him to hear him say like we this to the football team, because you kind of wonder about if he ever supported the football team or not, but he obviously does. So we got a couple of questions left, and they're on Ole Miss. So I'm going to read a couple of questions, and then I got some other stuff to read off, and then we can kind of talk about it. At Big Papa RV says Ole Miss is arguably one of the best 12 teams in the country. What are the keys to beating them, and what are their weaknesses? And then Jamie Latham off of Facebook says, what concerns us about Ole Miss? Are they similar to anybody we've played against this year? And then I got a reference tweet, shout out to at Crimroy12 on Twitter. He says, things to know about Ole Miss. They will have many players opt out, which I think he's seeing the same rumors that we are. So they're on their fourth string RB, so I'm not sure. They've had some injuries, I guess, and their number one wide receiver is out. Number two, he says their offensive line is very bad, ranked 86th overall. They're ranked 91st in the pass block and 82nd in run blocking. And I'll talk more about that here in a minute too. Their defense, specifically their defensive line, is very good. They're second in run defense. And then adding to that, I said they may have a sketchy O-line, but they still have the number 2 ranked total offense. So they can put up some yards in a hurry and points. They are averaging 521 yards per game. That's a lot. They have the number 3 ranked passing offense at 343 yards per game. So our secondary is going to get a huge test. Jackson Dart is fourth in the NCAA with 3,875 passing yards, and he has 25 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. And I wouldn't call Dart a dual threat, but he has ran 112 times for 452 yards, so it's only 4 yards a carry. But I think some of it has to do with what Crimroy had mentioned before, that our offensive line is kind of trash. So maybe he was kind of running for his life. And adding to that, they have the 85th ranked passing defense. So Malik has another shot to maybe have a big day, giving up about 230 yards a game. So I'll leave that for y'all. What do y'all think?
I mean, I think we can pretty much assume we're not going to have to worry about Jackson Dart. And he's an incredible player, rightfully so. He's going to be one of the first quarterbacks drafted in the NFL draft. Don't know what that looks like. Have no idea who would be their quarterback. I'm not going to act like I do know. I do think that this is the classic game if Duke is going to just be that passing, like, and I'm not saying give up on the run, but I am kind of saying give up on the run. Like, just throw the football the whole game. Like, spread them out, throw the football and throw the football and throw the football. Make this one of those, like, Joe Burrow games where, like, you know what I mean, your attempts are just crazy. And then maybe sprinkle in the run. But, you know, my thing is this. In a bowl game like this, you've got nothing to lose. It's not a national title game. They have a weakness on their defense, and it's their pass defense. They have a strength on their defense. It is their run defense. Let's just stay away from what they do well, and let's just exploit what they don't do well. And then I do think it's the fact that their offensive line gives up pass blocking, is not a good pass blocking line. You know, that plays into the hands of this Manny Diaz defense. That's for sure. So getting after the quarterback will be key.
Yeah, I was going to say that Manny and Pat Key have to be kind of salivating at the fact that the OL is ranked 91st in pass blocking. Like, that's you got to think that the defensive line is going to be able to wreak some havoc.
I would say it's similar somewhat to maybe Cam Ward and Jennings. I think that's a great comparison between the two. Again, Dart doesn't run a lot, but he can run. And they don't he doesn't hold the football long. He's snap, 2.5, 3 seconds is to the guy who needs it to go to. So I think that's something to see what will happen. I mean, honestly, I've always, and I'm bad about this, and I don't like doing predictions because of this reason. I thought we should have beat Wake Forest on paper by 3 touchdowns and not be close. Wake Forest decided that they wanted to play football until the fourth quarter, and then Duke finally used their will and won the game. So, on paper, yes, I think Duke should be fine. But Duke's got to execute just like Ole Miss has to execute. So, I think that part will be interesting. And again, it goes back to who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. So, I'm just looking forward to us getting to play. And we're talking, it's crazy to think 3 weeks from Thursday night is the ball game. I mean, that's how quickly this thing has gone by. We were sitting here, early part of August, doing the predictions, thinking, man, it's gonna be a long season, and now we're 3 weeks away from the season being over. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane.
And
Jamie, we are 3 weeks away from Scott giving us the tearful final podcast. These seniors are leaving.
I don't know if I've got anybody that I'm that close to this year.
That
I would feel that way with. No, maybe there is.
Bro,
Now, granted,
Jomo's got to be the one.
Jomo's he's like the son of the podcast.
And Eli Pankel. I mean,
Eli.
Now, Eli could be the one I could see me getting upset about.
I mean,
Scott's just a teddy bear, man. Scott's just
what a comeback! And we didn't really mention that on this podcast that Eli. Congratulations to Eli on the Piccolo Award, right?
Yep.
So,
yep. Awesome.
And in both those cases too, and this is I even the fact that I'm gonna say this makes me feel stupid for a second. The fact that these are two great families, the support system is there. The Moores, unbelievable. They love us. We love them. Then Eli's family, from Grandpa, the Cherries, from Grandpa all the way down. And, we've had a great time with them. We've spent a lot of time talking to them over the few years that Eli's been here and getting those 3 Duke degrees that most people couldn't do in 12 years. He's knocking them out in 4.5, 5 years. So not too bad at all. So I will miss that part because once those folks move on, it's really hard, just from that side of things, thinking this is the last time we'll see him wearing the Duke uniform. But I think I'm going to say this, and don't get mad at me. I almost wonder if we should put in the number 8 somewhere, hang it somewhere in the stadium. Because the guys had a great career.
Listen, we said it last year. They got to put up 90.
Well, hey,
somewhere.
Not bad for a guy who was a quarterback.
Right.
He's only had 3 years. 3 years as a wide receiver, and he's on the top. He's in the top 5 to 7 of all the wide receiver numbers in history.
I'm not saying this is one of those deals where you retire it and then never wear it again. Do like they do over at Chapel Hill in the ding dong, or whatever they call that stupid place over there where they play the round ball. Do what they do up there. They hang the jerseys with the guys' names. That's something that Duke ought to do, in my opinion. Granted, that means nothing to anyone at all. Nobody gives a crap what I have to say, but it's just something I think they should do.
And I know we don't like Elko as Duke fans, but shout out to Elko and his staff for moving Jomo from quarterback to wide receiver. They had some vision. The vision was there, and the vision has been realized the last 3 years that Jomo is an amazing athlete, and he's going to be playing on Sundays. Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, and I mean, let's call it like it is. He played through injury for 3 to 4 games out of the season, or else his numbers would have been gaudy. The games that he played injury free, he was a touchdown every game, at least one, and he was close to 100 yards every game. Of the games that he was healthy. And so anyway, y'all know, shout out for sure. Was that all, Jamie?
Yeah, that's a wrap for the questions.
That's a wrap. Well, we want to thank our other sponsor, our Iron D sponsor, El Rodeo Mexican Restaurant, North Durham, on North Duke Street, about 10 to 12 minutes away from campus. Your go-to Tex-Mex. Bring it on. Great atmosphere, great food, great drinks. I was there again this past Sunday. That's right. I was there again this past Sunday. Hooked it up again with a sope de asada with the salsa verde. And hook that up. But anyway, make sure you go. Tell them you listen to the Section 17 podcast. Take a photo, send it to us, tag us, whatever you want to do. We appreciate our sponsors from El Rodeo, North Duke Street. We did have some prediction winners. Scott, do you have that list?
I
from
have that list. I
the
actually do.
three. Yeah, go ahead, man. Shout them out.
So on the gram, as the kids say, shout out to JD, who multiple time winner. I'm gonna try to figure out what I can do to do what you asked me to do, JD. So thank you for playing along there. Then on Twitter or X or whatever they call it nowadays, JD Thomas was our winner there. And then on Facebook, somebody I have talked to a lot of times, Brian Alford. So Brian, if you're listening, man, reach out to Josh or Jamie, send your sizes, your shirt size, address, and then we will try to get it to you ASAP. Because I'd like to go ahead and get everything mailed out as soon as I possibly can. So we're done with it.
Yeah, Brian hits the tailgate quite often and hangs as well. So yeah, awesome. Thank you guys this year for interacting with that. We'll do it one more time for the bowl game. But that'll be fun, but we do appreciate that. Also, before I tell you how we're going to do the ticket giveaway, sponsored by Matt Bliven, do want to say thank you for following along on social media at Duke FB Talk. If you don't already, that's on Twitter, X, and on Instagram. Facebook group is just searching Duke Football Talk. We appreciate all your interaction there. And then YouTube, you can watch us by just searching for the Section 17 podcast. And anywhere you listen to podcasts, we do want to encourage you to give us 5-star ratings and then reviews on Apple. And so we really appreciate all of you that have done that. It really does help us in the algorithm. We got our Spotify Wrapped, and we just feel the love from you guys that listen on Spotify. And by the way, Spotify is about a third of our listenership is there on Spotify. And so not everybody is obviously there, but was really cool to see how much we've grown there and, just the way that you guys interact there. So anyway, we do appreciate that. We do want to now tell you a little bit about how Mr. Matt Bliven is going to be giving away two tickets to the bowl game in Jacksonville. And I'm going to read it for you. 2 tickets to the bowl game. Here is how you can enter. You will like and follow our account on Instagram. If you have not done that yet, you'll get 1 entry for all of our new likes beginning now. All right. You will get 1 entry for commenting on the Instagram post. Okay. So you'll get an entry for liking the post, following an account. You'll get 1 entry for commenting on the account. Okay. You can comment whatever you want. You can tag people if you want. We're not going to give you any extra entries for it, but you can tag people, you can comment, whatever. Here's the way you get 3 entries. So we told you Matt Bliven is killing it in the real estate game. Well, he has an open house this Saturday in Durham. It is on Markham Avenue. We're going to put the address, we'll post it. 109 West Markham Avenue. This house is incredible. It's incredible. 109 West Markham Avenue. He is having an open house. And so you'll see this post come out this Saturday, 12 to 3 is the open house. You'll get 3 additional entries for showing up at the open house. You just need to let him know that you listen to the podcast, what your name is. Okay, so you can like and follow, you can comment, and then you can show up at the open house this Saturday from 12 to 3. And so we appreciate Matt Bliven. Man, he's been an incredible partner. It's his first year sponsoring the pod. And we appreciate him doing those giveaways. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to Matt or to us, and we can help you. A little housekeeping. We will be coming to you with a bowl game preview. The way that we look at this is we gave you a little bit of Ole Miss tonight. Jamie went through their kind of season stats. But we are going to have a little bit more of an in-depth maybe look by the week before the bowl. So in 2 weeks, we will know a little bit more, right? We're going to know a little bit more about Duke. We're going to know a little bit more about Ole Miss. We're going to know what it's going to maybe look like. And so That'll also be Brian would be back for that, and Brian we can give the winner of the preseason stat predictions at that time. So that's going to be, we'll let you know when, but we'll do that, around the time of the bowl game, and then we'll do a final season ending wrap up. And so we appreciate you following along throughout the year. Scott, Jamie, anything that I am missing? No, I want to do one thing. Go ahead, Scott.
Got to find that mute button. That thing that would. Since we're not going to be coming back till after Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you all again for all the stuff you do, the interacting, and we appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do. Appreciate you coming, commenting, talking, spending time. Spending an hour and a half every week listening to us. I greatly appreciate that. Enjoy seeing you and interacting with you at the ball games and stuff. And really looking forward to those that can make it down to Jacksonville, because it's going to be a party. We're going to have a good time. And, at the end of the day, we anticipate coming home with that big W during the Gator Bowl.
Like Jameis, man, we're going to eat that dub. Yep. Merry Christmas. I'll also say that Brian is leaving tomorrow or Wednesday this week, and he's heading down to Disney for his their Make-A-Wish trip with his family. And so, as you know, Brian's son Harrison beat cancer, has been fighting that for 3 years, and we've celebrated that and continue to celebrate that. And it's taking its toll, on their family. And Brian feels deeply. You guys know that. Like, he's kind of that's just who he is. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. That's who Brian is. And I pick with Brian. But, man, I am so happy. Brian, they're going to get to go to Disney. Make-A-Wish is doing their whole deal. They're going to have a blast. We are so pumped for them. And so if you get a chance, like, maybe hit him up on social, tag him, tell him that, we hope that he has a great week there in Disney. A great reason, for him to be away. And we're super pumped for them. So I think that's it. We want to thank big time. We haven't done this. We want to shout out Laura Murphy, our photographer. We're going to have the whole crew. The plan is right now, the entire crew is going to be in Jacksonville. And so we want to shout out Laura for all of her work, taking those photos for us. Our producer, Tyler Witt, Brian Kennedy, our guy who puts together a lot of what we do on our episodes. My co-host today, Mr. Scott Medlin, Jamie Holt. I'm Josh Cox. This has been another episode of the Duke Football Talk, Section 17 podcast.